Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, SSCS here. Today I'll be giving you a quick guide for Marksman Hunter in Season 4 of Shadowlands. So quickly, we're going to just jump into the talents here. These are going to be the talents you're going to be playing pretty much every game, with the exception of obviously switching between camp and natural mending as you see fit. Quickly want to just go over this top tier though, because this one, it has a lot of contention. You get asked a lot about it between Master Marksman and Serpent Sting. In my opinion, I think Serpent Sting is better. It's more damage. It's not relying on you getting a crit. It's not relying on those crits being large, because if you get an auto-shot crit, this dot doesn't do anything. And it's also a quick little way to proc your 4-set, just since it costs 10 focus. So if you only need 10 focus to either make your next aim shot proc, your 4-set, or you need to get to make sure your rapid fire gets proc, this is a much cheaper option than having to use arcane shots. So it's also a decent little option. So I personally play Serpent Sting. But you could easily play Master's Marksman, and you probably could play Crows. This entire talent here doesn't super matter, but it's whatever you prefer. Next, we're going to go over the honor talents. These are the baseline honor talents you're probably going to play every game. Roar of Sacrifice, Scatter Shot, Survival Tactics. If you're playing Lone Wolf, obviously you could swatch out Roar of Sacrifice or something like Chimeral Sting, Knock, 70% Snare, Trank Darts, whatever meets this scenario better. Whatever you think will help you win. Like Concussive Shot, Snare is good into if you need to be able to get away from melee, or double knock for that matter. Chimeral Sting is good for trying to kill people in silences or help CC a healer. And Trank Darts is just good to arrest a druid. So next we're going to hop into gear and legendaries. I'm going to talk about legendaries first. So the main legendaries you want to be looking out for is Surging Shots and Craven Stratagem. So you pretty much use Craven Stratagem into anything like Affliction Warlocks, Feral Druids, Survival Hunters, anything where you're removing very important debuffs like Bomb, Feral Bleeds, Assassin Bleeds, or like Warlock Dots. Craven's can be really good. And then to the rest of the matchups, you can play. I prefer Searching Shots. It's a pretty good damage increase. A lot of damage. You can also play Unblinking Vigil. This is only really good into something like Mage Warlock, in my opinion, where you could just sit there and it can afford to deter aim shots back to back. But for the most part, I would rather just play Surge Shots. It's more consistent damage increase and helps with if you're playing like Necro or Kyrian, gives you even bigger one-shot potential. So let's talk about the stats. So there's two different ways you can gear out your hunter. Either you can do a mastery build like I'm doing here, or you can do a haste build here. I personally prefer mastery because I don't find it too hard with the way you're so. I kind of play marksman. I don't find it too hard getting off the cast, so I'd rather have this cast do big dam instead of it just being weak. So as you can see here, I have verse mastery on my unity, verse mastery on my surgery shots, and I have a craven verse mastery one. I use the verse mastery cloak. I use verse mastery in every slot you can get it. I'm even using the honor ring to have a higher IM level verse mastery piece. So I'm just trying to squeeze out as much mastery as I possibly can. And then if you're using mastery, the way the 4 pieces you'll use for 4-set is helmet, shoulders, gloves, and pants. I use the pants so I can get more mastery. You get more mastery this way because not only can you use the first mastery chest, you get first mastery on the tier, so it just equals out to you getting more mastery, which is very useful for this. If you were to gear haste, I would use haste versus pants, and I would use tier chest, obviously. That way you get more haste out of the deal, since there is no haste versus chest piece available. Um, let's talk about trinkets real quick. I'm currently using the badge, just the honor badge, just because there's haste on it. But once we're getting away from the honor badge, I'll probably be using proc as my damage trinket, and then going in between Aegis and Battlemaster, depending on the matchups. I prefer Battlemaster into things like Turbo and Rogue Mage, and I prefer Aegis into the more magic damage heavy comps. So yeah, now let's talk about the biggest thing. Let's talk about covenants. Covenants is a huge thing. So they Marksman has 3, I think, viable covenants. You have Kyrian, you have Necrolord, and you have Venthyr. Obviously, Knife is completely useless. So let's kind of talk about the differences. So let's go with Kyrian. Kyrian is the most, I want to say, passive of the 3 specs. And what I mean by passive is that it plays back the most because it doesn't really do anything outside of its Kyrian arrow. And you also want to make sure you're getting good Kyrian arrows off, so you never want to be in a position where people can stop your Kyrian arrows easily. So Kyrian is really about just doing really big hits during your arrow, getting big one-shots off. So it's really good for that. I'm just going to pull up the Soulbind tree for you. So you're going to run Pelagos, and this is what my Soulbind tree looks like. We have Brutal Projectiles, Resilience of the Hunter, Powerful Precision, Rejuvenating Wind, Enfeebled Mark, and Tactical Retreat. You can swap over here if you want the little mastery, and you can use Harmony with the Tortolan. But I prefer just getting the extra finesse. I don't play a lot of comps. Are going to be stacked on top of my teammates like this, so I won't get a lot of mastery. But this is what your Pelagos tree is going to look like for Kyrian. So now let's go over to Necrolord here real quick, and I'll show you what this is. So Necrolord is like is like the in between of Venthyr and Kyrian. So Kyrian goes through the big one shots, and Venthyr is all about consistent damage. And Necrolord's kind of the same because their ability Death Chakrams is it's kind of like the Kyrian ability. It's a big damage increase. It's kind of do one shots, but it's up more often, and it also does damage. So it's more of like a consistent option. And then when we're playing the Plague Deviser Marlith, you get 120 mastery every time you fleshcraft, so it gives you a lot more consistent damage baseline because you just have 100 extra 120 mastery that you normally wouldn't have. So Necro is like the kind of the in between of Kyrian and Venthyr. So if you want more like versatile playstyle, Necro is definitely play. This is what your Soulbind tree is going to look like. You're going to go for Jewel Projectiles, you're going to go down to Frictionless Coating, grab Resilience to Hunter, Necrotic Barrage, Tactical Retreat, so you grab an Ultimate Form, Powerful Precision, and then you're going to go over here, grab a Rejuvenating Wind on this side. If you for some reason prefer Underling Maneuvers, which it's kind of pointless, you could put your Tactical Retreat here and put your Resilience Hunter here, but Underling Maneuvers is pretty useless, so I prefer the Snare from this Viscous Trail. I pronounced that really badly, but so yeah, that's what I kind of prefer here. And then let's talk about our last here. So Venthyr. Venthyr is the most interesting of the three choices in my personal opinion, just due to it's all about consistent damage, which Marksman Hunter isn't like. Everyone thinks Marksman Hunter is a one-shot spec, but you can still do one-shots as Venthyr. It's just not as potent as the other one-shots, and you have also like a lot more consistent damage in between with the Flayed Shot here. So there's two different ways you can play Venthyr Marksman. You can either go Nadia. My Nadia tree isn't currently set up, but you would swap this out for Tactical Retreat. You would put in Brutal Projectiles here, and you put Powerful Precision here. Or you can do the Theotar tree. So I like the Theotar tree a lot, especially if you get the Master Proc. It's a lot of damage. You should have these swapped out. I would probably do this, and I would swap this out for Tactical Retreat. I haven't really fixed the tree up yet, but this is kind of what it looks like. I like Theotar a lot because, especially if you get a good T, it's a lot more consistent damage than Nadia. Nadia is kind of like you're playing around trying to get Fatal Flaw, so you could just have the 20% increased damage from all the versatility and try to do a big one shot. But I like Theotar. Theotar is a lot of consistent damage, and if you get the Tubbins and Gubbins Soothing Shade, it's also a lot of mastery, so it's a lot of burst. You don't really play Draven as this, because you don't want to lose the damage of Nadia or Theotar. But Draven is decent, but I would either go Nadia or Theotar. So, how do you want to play Marksman? So let me drop down a turnip here, just so I can kind of show you how you want to be playing all that. So I'll drop a turnip here. So, as Marksman, you kind of want to just be sitting back as much as you can and just turreting damn. You never want to be aggressive like you are as like Survival or BM per se. You always want to be trying to get back and doing damage. Because as I've found playing Marksman, it's not super important getting traps because how much damage you do as Marksman, you don't really need traps. You can kill in random little tiny CCs like a Chimeral Stinger or Scatter. So you don't need a really super setup trap goes. You can if you prefer, if that's the way you want to play, you can, but you can easily just sit back, just kind of turret some damage, you know, just chilling out, having a nice little bev back here. You can really play like that. That's how I've been playing it, and I found like the most success like this, because people have to extend to come stop you, and then that just gives you a way easier time killing them because they're overextended trying to stop you from just turreting them back here. So you're kind of like you're just a sniper. You're just back here, you're just sitting back, having a grand old time, just attacking here. So one thing I will say about Marksman Hunter is one thing you should try to avoid. Don't worry about too much about consuming your Arcane Shot procs, because Aim Shot hits significantly harder than Arcane Shot now does with all the new Aim Shot buffs and all that they've been doing over time. So I only would press Arcane Shot if you like know you can't get another Aim Shot off pretty much. Or obviously if there's like a bop or something up, but yeah, it's Aim Shot just hits so much considerably harder now in PvP than Arcane Shot does that it's just more worth to just spam out Aim Shots than it is to do anything else. So one last thing I want to talk about because I get asked this a lot: what should I double tap? Should I double tap my rapid fire or double tap my aim shot? So it kind of depends. Pretty much rule of thumb: if you ever have a brutal projectiles proc, it's worth to double tap your rapid fire instead, just because the conduit scales with it, so you get 14 stacks of brutal projectiles than you do with it. So it's obviously just way more damage. Um, but it's also kind of like, can you afford to get the aim shot cast off? If you know you can get the aim shot cast off, it's definitely worth using the double tap of aim shot, or if you have like a lock and load proc. But if you just need to get good, like a guaranteed damage out, double tapping a rapid fire is pretty good. It's gonna kind of just come down to experience with the spec, how much you play it. Because it's not like one consistent, like, oh, you don't always double tap with rapid fire, you don't always double tap with aim shot. It's just kind of what the situation calls for. Once you play the spec more and you get a good feel for it, you'll kind of understand like this scenarios what you should do one or the other. But especially in the clothies though too, I do definitely recommend trying to double tap your aim shots more often, just since they have so much less armor. But in the high armor targets, I definitely prefer rapid fire, because the damage difference between rapid fire and aim shot on plate targets isn't that big, so it's definitely better to do the rapid fire. Alright, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer this. Just want to release a quick little video update, since I know not a lot of people usually read the Wowhead guides. This is a nice, quick, condensed way to get all the information out. I hope you guys enjoy. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.